Set it on, fast in the melon. If I ever lose, set it on, bigger and better. Even roller coaster come bigger, bolder, faster. Boom, I'm going to the maximum. I'm going to the maximum. I'm going to the maximum.
All right, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for joining us on this incredible day, day 3. How we doing? We awake? We ready to go? Oh, come on, man. We're gonna try this again. We awake today?
Yes.
All right, that's better. We're gonna talk about a fun topic here, which we all probably should do a little bit more work on in our own lives, which is business. We like business here. Who here is wondering about what the future of Web3 business looks like? Let me see a show of hands if any of you guys are thinking about starting a Web3 project. Anybody? Oh, a lot of people. That's good. That's why you're here. So first, before we start, I'm just going to give it we'll start over there at the end. We're going to do a little quick, do like a 2-sentence bio about yourself, and we'll go around. That way you guys can get to know a little bit about who these guys are, what their credentials are, and why you should listen to them. So.
Yeah. My name is Louis Huang. Run a project named Millimax, which is a Web3 music NFT platform, and a Web3 label at the same time. So basically, artists can freely join, and then they can mint their music. And we primarily focus on mobile side right now, so that we can let the users have a convenience while using music NFTs. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Andy Nguyen. I'm the co-founder of Board and Hungry. Board and Hungry is the first NFT-themed restaurant. We're currently popped up downstairs here in Manila at the hotel here, and we have a location in Long Beach, California.
I had some of those burgers yesterday. They're so good. If you guys haven't checked those out yet, downstairs, wow.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm the co-founder. I'm a co-founder of Lovo Labs. It's an AI speech synthesis company, and also the co-founder of VoiceVerse, a generative voice NFT project. I have 10 years of experience just working in Web2, and I got onboarded into Web3, and now I'm kind of stuck and trapped here. So I'm having tons of fun. I'm also a avid NFT collector.
Well, we have such a diverse panel. This is interesting because you've already heard 3 use models of Web3, right? Like 3 distinctively different industry, we have music industry over here for artists. We have a physical restaurant over here, right? And we have voice recognition, AI, synthesis stuff. Like these are all 3 amazing different industries. And for myself, I'm personally into the crypto gaming. I love crypto gaming. Myself, I have a virtual assistant company based in the Philippines here. We have almost 180 people, so a lot of them would love for me to pay them in crypto, especially with what the Philippine peso is at right now, right? Can we feel, I mean, as an outsider, as a foreigner coming to the Philippines, it's good because our money goes further, but man, we got to figure out these solutions. So let's talk about that. Actually, I want to go to you because I think, Andy, that was a really interesting concept that you have built out. I spoke with Kevin yesterday. He gave me a tour of the facility. Such a brilliant idea. What do you feel? This is going to be a question I'm going to field to all of you guys when I start with you, Andy. Is how do you feel? What is important about building a brand for a business in Web3?
I think the most important part is that we're trying to get everyone to eventually adopt it, right? Because we see in the next 10 years, it's going to be pretty much second nature. We're not going to refer to it as crypto or NFTs. It'll become just monetary value.
Digital.
Digital, yeah, or art or whatever, or collectible or membership club, whatever you want to call it. There's so many different uses for it, and we're just trying to introduce it for mass adoption. That's what we're looking for. That's our main thing.
And yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we're kind of in this awkward gray area where do we frame ourselves as a digital collectible? Do we frame ourselves as a brand, or are we just a tool? Coming from Web 2, we were just a SaaS startup, right? We were creating pretty much voice models and a voice system for all these different corporations. And coming into Web 3, it's a different ballgame. Do you frame it as a brand where everybody can join in a decentralized manner. So this is something that we're constantly thinking about. But right now, I think what we're trying to focus on is content and IP. So allowing people to own unique voices for their brands and for their IP so that they can kind of create an extension and another dimension to their brands.
Well, I think that brings us over to music too, right? Because that sounds very similar.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as the branding goes and bringing community together, and I think obviously, being decentralized is such a great advantage for all of us to communicate digitally in a manner that gives us all that sense of ownership, right? So how important do you think ownership is in this new world of Web3 business? Any of you?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about that a little bit. I guess for us, we work with a lot of voice actors. And, the voice actor industry is very skewed where the top 1% pretty much take all the profits. And we kind of want to give, the bottom 99% opportunities to, have some income. And so we work with them and we do a lot of profit share. But we're able to take their voices and we're also able to get those voices to people that need them. So for example, if a brand like Born in Hungary wants to add, voice onto their ape and make a spokesperson, we would be able to do that, right? And they would own the voice, they would be able to own the personality of that decentralized brand. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I agree with what Tank said because in the music industry, like when you listen to, like when somebody streams a music, like only like 5% of the revenue is given to the music artist. So like what we're trying to solve is that like music industry is one of the industry that artists get ripped off the big time, like one of the biggest times. So in the Web3 scene it's like 95%, 100% of the profit is given to the artist. So that is, so we are trying to develop a utilizing Web3 technology in order to provide a better environment for the artists. So the ownership.
Yeah, I think that's important too, right? I mean, it gives us less of that top-down structure where, it's like the traditional model. It's kind of like the pyramid turned upside down, right? I mean, if you think about it, guys, like that's one of the cool things about Web3 and crypto in general is that even in the video gaming field, like I feel like in the gaming field, it used to be like you'd have to go out and get VC, you'd have to get venture funding, you'd have to have millions and millions of dollars, you'd have to build this game studio, you'd have to have all these design concepts and whatever else. And now we're at a point to where someone could literally post about a project and offer the ability to have in-game items, skins, all that kind of stuff as a prepayment by buying in. And these guys are getting funded, and it's turned everything upside down. And over there in the music industry where it's just wrought with all sorts of scandals over the years. I mean, I remember even, I mean, I'm thinking back to all the famous rappers that were always complaining about, Def Jam Records or whatever, right? So it gives a lot more ownership and it really gives more opportunity for those at the bottom. I like what you said about those, the voice actors that are basically, kind of monopolizing everything and giving them a new outlet for the bottom. It's just, it's brilliant. So let's talk about value. I want to go to you, Andy. Okay. So when it comes to value in business, we always use this word. All right, who's heard this word? We're in Web3. Who's here ever heard this word? Utility. Right? Utility. I roll my eyes. Oh my God. I'm obviously too heavy for this chair. Utility is like one of those things where like every Web3 business has to have like that white paper with that giant list of utility. Break down what you believe the future of utility in Web3 companies are.
I think that word utility, obviously, anyone with a project in 2022, obviously put utility, but I think for most business owners, because before I came into the field of Web3, because I've only been in it for about a year now, I was in the food and beverage business, right? You still have to run it like a business. And with the business, you still have to provide real value, right? Real tangible, or real things that come along with it. But if you're just putting things down that you don't know if you can fulfill it, it doesn't make sense.
I think most Web3 companies are probably jealous of you because you have real world utility, like that's edible and it's yummy, right? And I think that there's a big struggle. I mean, obviously you guys have utility, what you're providing with your streaming service and the ability to do the art and all the collections, especially for you and the AI. Working with voice actors and all that kind of stuff, so it's like platform based. Actually, I like that both of you guys are kind of like platform based, and he's like a real world, like physical product guy, because I think it adds a lot of diversity here. But when it comes to utility, I think either of you can take this, the virtual world here. When it comes to utility in business, like how do you position yourself to really show people the value in the Web3 project?
Yeah, that's a hard question. I think
Sorry.
I guess for a minute there, I was just thinking about the word utility because it gets thrown around so often that sometimes you kind of forget what utility actually means.
Value?
Yeah, but value in this case, right? I think for us, we started off with content, but kind of what we want to focus on next is identity, right? And in Web3, identity is very important, because you have the metaverse, you have NFTs, you have people building their digital personas, their online personas. So if I want to be an ape, or if I want to be a cool cat, you can kind of be that on Twitter, you can be that on Discord, but people are just kind of talking to each other with text, just typing away. And so for us, we want to kind of give people the extension of their online identity by giving them voice. And so what we're working on right now is so we've been working on text-to-speech up until now, where you input text and you get speech, and you animate your NFTs, you animate your PFPs, and you can create content. But what we're working on next is speech-to-speech. So people can just kind of sit in front of the computer, we can track their face, it'll animate, pretty much take your PFP and create a filter, but also find a voice that's fitting for that PFP. So if I want to be a VTuber, if I want to be a schoolgirl, if I'm into that, like I can, like I don't sound like a schoolgirl, but I can change. That's kind of what we're going for at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For music industry, like I think there are like 4 parties in order to go Web3. So it's the artists and the listeners, and actually the people who's buying the NFT, music NFT, and also the platform's gotta survive so we can make it sustainable. So like all 4 parties, they need to win, and then we could think of a bunch of stuff, like for example, in the music industry, like artists don't make money out of music no more. So for K-pop idols, they make money out of concerts, they sell goods. That's like 90% of their revenue right now. So we could solve this in a way that, it's not like overriding the whole music industry, but then it's gonna create a new Web3 music industry where we can have a different structure. Like for example, like we could put governance in there, like in Spotify, it's like they have a top chart. You don't even know who voted for them, right? So they get paid to put like this guy in like top 3 or some shit. Yeah, that's one of their revenue models. So we respect that, let them stay there, but then in Web3, it's gotta be legit, So like we could put governance, we could have this actual listeners to stream their music, and then we can actually track it down and then count it, and then we could provide like a listen to earn model or whatever, So we could put it in a bunch of different styles for different platforms as well.
Yeah, that's interesting because there's a lot of pay to play everywhere, right? I mean, even books. Like every time there's a new book comes out, it's a bestseller, and you find out that the guy basically had him and all of his friends buy the books, and he usually gives them the money to buy the book. He's like, "Hey, I need to make a bestseller." Same thing, right? Spotify is notorious for that. Even media publications like some I'm not going to say because I work for them.
A lot of things are corrupt.
Like trending stories for the week, but they're not really trending. They're just paid to be the top story, right? So I think that that's another great point, and it brings us to, obviously the decentralization of business and the more transparency that we're going to be providing in business. So now you have a little bit of an interesting thing. So tell me a little bit more, because I think for me, when I obviously went downstairs, I don't know if I had the full experience because I had like the pop-up experience here. What utility is there? Is there some sort of Web3 utility with your offline brand?
Yeah, there's a few different things that we offer. We accept crypto payments at our store, at our physical store back in Long Beach. You can pay in ETH or you can pay in ApeCoin. We were actually the first use case of ApeCoin before they even used it. So when they introduced it, we were the first. They launched around the same time we opened our store, and we became that first case use for it. So, with people figuring out like, hey, I can't pay for anything with crypto. Well, now you can pay for food with it. Also with my personal NFT collection with Kevin and Philip, called Food Fighters, as a holder, every month you can go redeem either at our restaurant or 15 other restaurants under our list. Once a month, you have a free meal.
That's utility. That's value, right? You have these tokens or you have your NFT or whatever it is, and you're able to go and actually get products, value, whether it's physical, non-physical, all that kind of stuff. I didn't know that about you being the first use case for the ApeCoin. That's really cool. Yeah. It also goes to show why it's so important to be on the cutting edge in business, especially, if we're here in Web3, we're pretty much all on the cutting edge here. But in all reality, those first mover impact is so important. And I think that what you did was really cool. And what about you guys? So how does it feel? Like, I don't know, like what even the competition looks like in the music industry for this. Like, what does it look like? How do you position yourself as one of those first movers in the industry?
Actually, Web3 music is kind of like thriving in the States though. Like it started off from the west side of US. Last year, I believe, I don't know how to put it in USD, but like 2 billion or something investment was made to the Web3 music startups. So when you look it up, there's gonna be like 200s of Web3 music startups in the States, but any other places like what is Web3 music? So like I think voice first and
well, let's break it down. What's Web3 music?
Web3 music is like we said, we started out with a philosophy because I was a music artist myself back in 2000 until 2007. And then I saw a lot of this corrupt stuff that we already talked about, like artists get ripped off and then they do a concert and then they get like $5, Yeah, rest of them, like the labels take them. So, like all this stuff, we wanted to solve that issue. So we wanted to create a world that artists make money out of music again, like back in the days they used to. So, so I think all that movement is called Web3 music.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like people can misunderstand it as, so you're gonna take out the Web2 music and then replace it. No, that's not how it is. So it's gonna be Web3 music, it is another market. So if artists want to onboard to Web3 music, they can onboard and then use a different type of structure. So we look at NFT so when we talk about music NFT, we don't talk about it as a NFT. It's a NFT. We don't focus on NFT itself, but then we focus on the music as a content itself, and then NFT is a means of delivery to the people. So, that's my definition of Web3 music, because music industry has been coming from physical contents like LP, CD, cassette tapes, and then it came to a download streaming industry, and then now NFT is another way to deliver to the community. So community is another thing, but then, yeah. So that's my definition of Web3 music.
Yeah, I think I can talk a little bit about being a first mover. We created the world's first generative voice NFT. What we did is we worked with 100 voice actors and we took their voices and created 8,888 new voices. And so I think there's a lot of value in that, but I think being a first mover in this space, there's no competition, and my team and I always talk about this. Like, man, I wish we had some competition so we can benchmark each other, right? We can at least have something to go off of. I think when you're one of the first, I think when you're a pioneer in the space, you kind of don't know what you're doing. You're like in the unknown, and so I think there's a lot of trial and error, and you just have to kind of learn from your mistakes, try new things, and just come up with new ideas constantly. But I think that in itself is very, it's a very, not everybody can have that experience. So I'm really blessed to kind of to be in this position where I feel like I'm creating something completely new.
Yeah, sometimes you fall into a doubt that is this the right way? Why is nobody coming?
Yeah,
You know?
on my end, I get to see as a first mover in the food and Web3 space. We have the crowds that like super hype, they love it. Like you guys changed the game. People are like, "Nah, you guys are amazing." And then you have the non-believers of Web3, and they are just as insane, right? They won't come to my restaurant, but they'll write, a lot of bad words, and they'll carve it into the ground. They'll write bad reviews. So I'm getting hit by both sides, and there's no one else with me to go along. I'm just alone in the water in this one.
Well, I think there's this weird combination, right, between like mysterious intrigue. Obviously, you have to have lots of value. The community part is really important too, right? Especially when you're building something new, you really have to have believers, people that are like, oh yes, this is really incredible. I know yesterday when I was speaking to your business partner, Kevin, he was telling me about when you guys opened up that very first burger place. I think is it in LA?
Yeah.
LA. And you guys were not expecting the results. You had like 3 blocks of people of a line. Imagine opening a business and having a 3-block line to buy a burger, right? And they actually sent the police and the fire station over. They brought fire trucks and police to figure out what was going on. And they ended up figuring out what it was, and they got in line. I mean, how cool is that? Right? Like that's stuff that like obviously I know the story, right? Like, and I think that that's a huge part, right? It's like you have to have that really solid community of people and come out there. And I think that one of the things that's lacking right now in Web3, and I think this will be our last topic, the thing that's really important in Web3 right now that's really lacking is sustainability of marketing. Because a lot of projects, like a lot of us, pretty much everyone's, if you guys ever invested in crypto last year, you lost money, period. Right? I mean, it's been 12 months. I mean, June was like pretty much the low point, of this year. But pretty much like what we learned was that people were doing hype things, and it's easy when the market's going up. You're like, everybody's guaranteed to make money basically when the market's going up. But when it goes down, it requires some really interesting techniques to stay in front of people. So this is going to be our last question here. So how do we keep these projects thriving after they launch?
Yeah, I think when you look at marketing in Web3, it's completely different than anything else. So you just kind of have to walk into it with an open mind and just try a lot of different things. But I think in terms of the sustainability of it, I think it's all about execution and performance. I think you have to execute on all the things that you promise, and the thing is you have to take into account your holders, because essentially they're your investors. They're the people that are investing into you and believing in you, and you have to be accountable to that. And so, yeah.
I think for marketing perspective, in order to make a sustainable business, I think it is we need to get engaged with the public more. I think that's why for my end, because we're in the music industry, we can engage with a lot of the music labels, existing Web2 music labels. We can. That's why we have a little bit of advantage on that because we can onboard the Web2 artists, like the music artists, existing K-pop idols, rappers, and like we get a bunch of those artists onto the game, so that like people are already familiar with the music and they're the artists, so I think that can help us marketing. And like, for example, we have a concert with them because blockchain has been there for like 5 years, 6 years, but then it's been like when there's a blockchain event, like only people who know about blockchain shows up. So in order to get more people onto the game, I think that's the only way to make the market sustainable.
One sentence, my man, Andy.
Yeah. So collaboration is Web 2.
Boom, collaboration.
Boom.
I think right now, you already seen it. This downturn has weeded out a lot of the bad stuff, the ruckus. And
The people building right now, they're obviously like, you know, they're not in it to get the quick turnaround, right? So that community base is really important. Guys, can we get a big round of applause for our panelists here? It's been really incredible being with you guys, and I want to just remind you guys, these guys are going to be around. Some of them have booths, some of them are just around. You can come up to them. They're very approachable, really cool people. We're really excited to have you guys here and talk more about the future of Web3 in your business. Thank you so much.
WEB3 Week. See you next year.